What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake and Kyle coming back at you here to talk about Week 8. Kyle, a week that there was a ton of points scored here in fantasy football. And for the first time, our stud list is about as short as it's been here all season long.
And listen, we are not used to short things around here, let me tell you. But this list is about as short as it can get.
I love it. And really, I mean, we're not going to waste a whole lot of time. We're going to dive right into the content here because I know you guys like to get right into it if you do hit the like button for us. But since we're talking about Sduds, I mean, right off the bat, could we just talk about the Raiders in general? Because they make up almost 50% of this list. By the time we talk about Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, and Davante Adams, I understand that the flu is running rampant in this in this locker room. But this was bad. For them to get shut out with this type of offensive firepower, Josh Jacobs has been on an absolute heater. He only ends with 10 carries for 43 yards. Derek Carr has barely 100 yards passing, no touchdowns. And then Davante Adams, I mean, he's bringing in the rear with only 3 yards on one catch.
I mean,
that's not good.
It's not good at all.
Not going to cut.
And I saw some tweets yesterday, too, that people were like, I bet the Packers would love to trade for Davante Adams right now. But I think a lot of people did forget that, they've got a flu bug or something running through the locker room right now. So they are not feeling well at all. And I mean, anytime you play the Saints at home, it's difficult. The Saints play much better when they're at home. So hopefully this is just a blip on the radar and these guys can get back to it.
Yeah,
because we're going to need Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs.
We're going to need a hell of a lot more than what we got in Week 8, that's for sure. How about Mark Andrews? Now, obviously, Mark Andrews was injured, but Mark Andrews was injured majority of the week. They came out, they cleared him to play. They said he'd be good to go. Had 5 targets for 3 catches and 33 yards in like the first quarter. Was it like the first drive or two? And then all of a sudden,
looked great to start the game.
He started off so hot, and I'm like, perfect, here we go. And then dude's injured, walking to the locker room and ruled out for the game. I mean, that hurt a lot of people because the hot start got a lot of people excited.
Yeah, no, he looked great to start. And that's why I was like, where's Andrews at? Like, I'm like searching for him, not seeing him. And then someone's like, oh, yeah, he's not coming back out. I'm like, oh,
perfect.
Real great. Thanks, Baltimore.
Yeah, appreciate
you telling us what's going on with the players before the game starts.
That one and with Rashad Bateman. No, he's not a stud. He's not here on the list because he's not as highly ranked, but the same type of thing, right? He's good to go. He's going to play. Barely even played at all. How about Jonathan Taylor? Now, I have a feeling that a lot of people, and I'm even going to throw myself included in there, I'm almost done. Kyle, I'm almost done with it. Now, I said this in our team group chat last night on Twitter about something just doesn't seem right with Jonathan Taylor. Either he's not 100% healthy. He just seems like he's trying to dance too much. He's not trying to get north and south as quickly as maybe what we saw last year. Yep. He had 16 carries for 76 yards, but lost a fumble and only had 1 damn target in the passing game. I mean, Deion Jackson fills in for Jonathan Taylor a few weeks ago and goes absolutely, bananas, and we can't get more than 1 target to Jonathan Taylor here this week. I'm worried about this offense going forward with Sam Ehlinger.
That's what's really weird to me with Jonathan Taylor. I don't know with Deion Jackson if they were just like, oh, we don't really need to worry about keeping this guy healthy. Let's just give him as many targets as possible.
Run it till the wheels fall off.
But listen, you're 3-4, you're 3-4-1, and you just lost to Washington at home. Start getting the ball to your better players. So if this is some kind of a ruse to keep Jonathan Taylor healthy, you need to just play the game. Just play the game, get him out there. Let's try and get things moving forward a little bit with the offense because you're going to need him. So use him.
Next guy up. I mean, I guess I'm going to take the blame 100%.
Jake, I'm just going to stop you right here.
Why?
I don't even know if we should talk about this guy. I don't even know if we should talk about him.
Well, here's the reason I'm talking about him.
Ignore him.
I'd like to, and I may ignore him for the remainder of the season. But he was the number 9 quarterback in fantasy football in the season. He'd had a couple good games. And all of a sudden I said, you know what? Maybe Daniel Jones is someone we need to consider starting. For the first time in years, I say, okay, Daniel Jones, let's get him in our lineups. Let's see what he has a great matchup this week against a poor defense. He should be able to succeed. This mofo goes out there for only 176 yards, no touchdowns, and only 20 yards rushing, and absolutely kills a ton of people in fantasy football. Daniel Jones, I I just can't anymore. Like I tried to, glass half full. I tried to take my bias away and say, all right, the guy has played well enough. I just can't anymore. Like, because this is exactly why he sucks you in. He's like a tractor beam, and then all of a sudden the thing just shuts off and you just fall to your death. Like that's what it is with Daniel Jones. I can't do it anymore. He will not probably be a start for me rest of the season.
No, and I think people are looking for some rush upside from him as well, and he didn't even give you that this past week.
20 yards ain't gonna cut that. And then I included Tyler Higbee. He's like borderline, but he's somebody that a lot of people were, using at the tight end position because he was
one of the safest tight ends in all of football.
Yes. And I mean, he still got 6 targets, but he only turned it into 2 catches for 15 yards. So that didn't really help anybody there either. But really, Kyle, for the most part, that's the bulk of the duds right there. Like there's not a whole lot compared to what this list
Sduds
usually
performed.
Yeah, they did pretty well this week. All right,
exactly.
Let's talk about some of our bigger misses this week, Kyle. Now we had a few for me. I'll start off at quarterback. I mentioned it in the start sit video that Justin Fields is starting to turn the corner a little bit, but I wasn't quite ready to say, hey, let's throw him into our lineup in another difficult matchup. The kid is just going out there and playing so well right now. Only 151 yards passing, but had 2 touchdowns through the air and then rushed another 60 yards and another touchdown on the ground. Justin Fields, even though the Bears aren't great, they're starting to play a lot better. And even though they still got walloped, they're putting up fantasy points. And does it suck that they're losing? Sure, for Bears fans. I don't care if they lose, though. I'm trying to get fantasy points, and he's scoring them here lately.
Jake, quick question for Justin Fields. Would the offense for the New York Jets be better or worse with Justin Fields at quarterback right now?
The Jets
offense.
I have to think it would be better.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I would have to think it would be better.
I just thought about it last night.
We'll talk about the Jets here in a little bit because the Jets are another team that I'm just kind of confused on. The whole Elijah Moore situation, weird. Another quarterback I missed on, Marcus Mariota. Now, he's been hit and miss up and down all year long. I wasn't about to throw him out there and really rely on him. Dude went out and had 253 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and then added another 43 yards rushing against the Carolina Panthers this past weekend. He was a miss, and so was Taylor Heineke. And he scored at 14 on the start sit video, and I was like, I want to start this kid. Like, I just feel like if you need somebody in a pinch, Taylor Heineke is that guy. And he's playing great for Washington right now. 279 yards, a touchdown, 1 interception. Taylor Heineke was somebody else that I missed. Another teammate of his, Antonio Gibson. Honestly, full disclosure, I have no idea what to do in the backfield of Washington. Like, I got nothing. Like, Brian Robinson's probably going to lead them in touches, but Antonio Gibson is getting the more quality touches. Plus, he had 7 targets for 7 receptions at 58 yards and a touchdown. He's getting more work in the passing game now than he ever did as the lead back in this offense, but he's not really getting goal line carries. That's still going towards B. I don't know. Like, it is just it's a cluster, if you know what I'm talking about, Kyle.
Big one. Big cluster.
It's a big one. I missed on Raheem Mostert. I did. It was a great matchup. They're going up against the Detroit Lions, who allow like 500 bajillion fantasy points to running backs. Raheem Mostert, 14 carries for 64 yards, didn't do much of anything else. And really, this was because they were finding so much success with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Mike Gesicki. They didn't really have to run the ball. They were throwing it at will.
Yeah, and Detroit stayed in the game a little bit longer, too, than what they have as of recent. I mean, they were leading. Oh, no, they were like tied at halftime or whatever it was. They were leading at one point, though, and Miami just wasn't pulling away from them. So I think that probably led to a little bit as well. Obviously, if Miami would have buried him a little bit quicker, probably see a little bit more of Mostert there. For wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, I mean, I listed him as a sit. I was a little bit worried about this matchup. I thought Indianapolis was going to come out and play well. They're starting to get a little bit healthier on defense, it feels like. The one thing about Terry McLaurin, I said in the video, though, is he's Taylor Heineke's favorite, so it also wouldn't surprise me if he had a good day and then he ended up having 100 receiving yards. Now, like, I believe like just over a quarter of those or a third of those came on like the last play of the game. So big finish there for him, but good to see him performing well, especially when they've got a backup quarterback in there right now. Chris Olave had a little bit of a down performance, unfortunately. Again, injuries there, set up the possibility for a lot of volume, and he just didn't really turn it into anything. The Rondell Moore breakout came a week.
It was 1 week late, Kyle.
Later.
He was
than
1 week
I
late.
anticipated.
Kyle.
Huge week for Rondell Moore.
You missed it by this much.
By this much. But this isn't hand grenades or horseshoes, as they say. So I'm glad to see it. It just would have been great if it came last week, but hey, it is what it is. I still think he's going to have that big role over Robbie Anderson. I don't see Robbie Anderson becoming much of anything
it's Robbie
in this
Anderson.
offense. So Cortland Sutton, with Russell Wilson being back, Cortland Sutton was kind of his favorite to begin the season. So I was like, all right, Russell Wilson's going to be back. We're going to give the benefit of the doubt to Cortland Sutton over Jerry Jeudy this week. Reverse those two. Great game by Jerry Jeudy. Cortland Sutton, however, did not do it. Kyle Pitts showed up. Everybody, just quick round of applause. Kyle Pitts showed up this week. Had him as a sit. Had him at like tight end 16 because I was tired of dealing with it. And look at this. Out of nowhere, Kyle Pitts has a big week and he scores, which feels like
9 targets for Kyle Pitts.
9.
Where has that been all season long?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Apparently not in the game plan.
No.
And out of nowhere, they decide, okay, let's go ahead and go with it. Dalton Schultz, I was a little bit concerned. Schultz had an okay game. I think he ended up getting like 70 yards.
Yep, 74.
Started to build up there when Chicago worked their way back into the game. I mean, it was at one point they did start to kind of creep back a little bit, and then Dallas just kept going and going. So 6 receptions, 74 yards, not a bad day if you play in a half PPR format. He got you over 10 points, which is what we want from tight ends. Wasn't a huge day like I think some people were expecting. I think some people were expecting a gigantic day, but it is good to see Schultz getting on the same page with Dak again. And then the Muth was set up for a really good day. No, because Chase Claypool had better success as a passer than what Kenny Pickett did.
Yeah, that's never a good sign.
He had more touchdown passes and
he
had a higher passer rating than what Kenny Pickett did. Kenny Pickett's worrying me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very worried about Kenny Pickett.
So am I. I was never a Pickett guy anyway, but now all of a sudden I understand there's going to be some growing pains, but man, you got so many weapons at your disposal that are just being underutilized right now. It is a little bit worrisome. All right, let's go down to some of our hits now, Kyle. We'll start off with a game we already talked about a little bit here in depth, the Miami game against the Detroit Lions, both Tua and Jared Goff. Damn foghorn?
Tua.
Oh. I thought you were like pulling into port or something. I had no idea what the hell was going on.
No, it was Tua. It was my Tua chant.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It's signaling the horn. Tua's arrived.
Tua has arrived. I mean, a lot of people, I am loving this for Tua. Like just the fact that he is out there playing great
football. He's not just playing well, he's dominating.
He's dominating. Like he is, like you said, he's not going out and throwing for 120 yards and they're getting the win. He threw for 382 yards again, and all these people all offseason, they're like, Tua can't do this. He's going to make Tyreek Hill suck. Well, that's crazy because Tyreek Hill's on pace for a career year this year. This guy is absolutely just racking up yardage. Everybody was hopping off the Jalen Waddle bandwagon because of Tyreek Hill. We told you, no, you're sticking with Jalen Waddle because the defender over the top, the double teams, that's going the way of Tyreek. Jalen Waddle's going to feast underneath, and that continues to happen. I had Jared Goff once again as a start. You know, the offense has kind of sputtered for the last 2 games played. He had over 320 yards passing. I had Trevor Lawrence as a sit. A lot of people had him up inside their top 12. He was a top 12 quarterback coming into the week. But playing in London against Denver, I didn't want any piece of that. He only ended up throwing for 133 and 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Aaron Jones. Now, a lot of people say, well, yeah, of course we're starting Aaron Jones. But Aaron Jones was going up against the Buffalo Bills. And a lot of people were contemplating playing other guys, other lower-end guys over Aaron Jones because they didn't want to deal with inconsistencies. They didn't want to deal with the matchup. And I said, Aaron Jones is the one weapon in this offense right now that Aaron Rodgers really trusts. He had 20 carries for 143 yards, added another 7 receptions in there as well. Aaron Jones, a great start. Donta Foreman surprised me. Now, I had him as a start this week, of course, but I also said in the video that I don't want people to get used to what we saw last week and expect that every week. Maybe we should expect it because this guy had 118 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. Who would have thought
like Derrick Henry out there?
Dude, he did look like he was like Henry Light out there for the Carolina Panthers.
Diet Henry.
I mean, Do I still want to rely on that every week? No, but apparently this guy is somebody we can kind of pencil in as a must start every single week right now, especially with Chuba Hubbard banged up as well. Travis Etienne, another one of those names that a lot of people gave up on way too early in the season. He had 24 carries for 156 yards and a touchdown. Absolutely love what we're going to get from Travis Etienne rest of season. He looks confident all of a sudden. It's like a light switch just flipped. And that's where we talked about for the longest time. Don't forget that technically, even though he's in his second year, this kid is like a rookie because he didn't play last year. And now all of a sudden, he's getting into the speed of the game. It's clicking and he's doing well. Tony Pollard is somebody we talked about early in the week. Not once Zeke was ruled out late in the week. We talked about him early and said, listen, this is a guy you want in your lineup, especially if Zeke goes out. Tony Pollard, 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. I had Darrell Henderson as a sit. I said, that's cool. He's coming off the bye week. Maybe you need some help there at running back. It's not Darrell Henderson. It's not the backfield of the Los Angeles Rams. He only had 4 carries for 16 yards, and that's going to be a backfield that we avoid rest of season. Now, I want to throw in a little nugget here real quick before I hand it over to you, Kyle. We've had a lot of questions lately about Cam Akers because there's rumors coming out that Cam Akers could be back with the team if they don't trade him.
Yep.
The second you get good news about Cam Akers, if he's traded, if he comes back, if he plays a few snaps, whatever it is, you have to trade him immediately. Immediately. If he is traded to any team in the NFL, I don't care. There's going to be some hype around him. Make sure that's the time that you deal the guy and get rid of him and try to get something for him while you can.
Yep, absolutely. No, I agree. DJ Moore is back officially. Woo! Maybe not officially, but for the last 2 games, he looks really, really good, especially with having PJ Walker under center of all people.
PJ Walker gives 0 Fs, Kyle. He's just throwing it down the field.
He's just absolutely ripping it. So now, yes, maybe he shouldn't have taken his helmet off to celebrate, but we didn't get Doc fantasy points for that, so who cares? DJ Moore with a huge, huge game, though, so good to see him finally performing again. I think he's got to be. I had him as a start. Let's put him back in the start column moving forward, I think. Jacoby Myers continues to be just a really, really good, safe bet every single week.
Yep.
Every single week. He's going to get decent targets if he scores. That's great. He's like a really safe wide receiver too. If you just need somebody to get you points, that's Myers right now. Brandon Ayuk ends up scoring from Christian McCaffrey, nonetheless, but he finds the end zone. Another good game with no Deebo Samuel. I tried to encourage people, even with Deebo out, they've got plenty of other weapons to kind of help fill the void there. So we're going to go ahead and move with Brandon Ayuk. Deontay Johnson was a sit for me. I'm just not really trusting anybody in this offense right now. I can't. They're not moving the ball well enough. They're not playing well enough. Chase Claypool may have been a start for you, but that's because he threw for a touchdown. I don't think we're betting on that every single week.
No, probably not.
At the tight end position, Greg Dulcich, he's looking really, really good right now. Coming back from that injury. I mean, this is a guy that is starting to become a safe option where we can't really figure out what wide receiver Russ is going to throw to. I think we're going to be able to find out here pretty quickly that Dulcich will be a guy that will get plenty of targets.
Yep.
Evan Ingram.
What's it like, 2018 again?
Hey, look, I don't know where this guy came from, but look at him. Listen, and I didn't let myself get sucked into the Evan Ingram hype because I've been told far too many times by far too many people that I need to let it go. I don't remember who it was, but there was someone that always gave me a hard time about Evan Ingram. But he's back.
Sorry, I was saying.
But he's back. And going into this week, he wasn't a really high upside because he wasn't scoring. And then boom, he scores this week. So he's definitely like a must start tight end moving forward. If he's a guy that you've been having on your bench is kind of like a fill-in option. I mean, quite honestly, if you told me, Kyle, rest of the season, pick one. Kyle picks Evan Ingram. I pick Evan Ingram, and I wouldn't even think twice about it. And Mike Gesicki. A lot of people, I saw you in the comments this week. You're like, Kyle, you're getting a little frisky here. Starting Mike Gesicki, what are you doing? You and him, you like to battle back and forth. You call him a start, he's a sit. You call him a sit, he's a start. Nailed it this week. Gesicki found the end zone.
And that's exactly what we need right there, too, is because I don't know if he sees the volume, but he needs the touchdowns. And with Tua playing so well, that's kind of the X factor right there, is Tua just playing great football. Love to see that 100%. But those were some of our bigger hits and bigger misses of the week. Like we said, we do this every single Monday. We still have people asking questions on videos. Hey, what happened to the hits and misses? It's right here. It's right here every Monday, so we can keep ourselves accountable, so you know what happened the week prior. But Kyle, I'm hoping that this is a sign of good things to come, and this stud list continues to dwindle each and every week, because all of a sudden, with all these points being scored, a lot of people are going to start making some runs at the playoffs. But that's going to be today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, do us a favor, hit the like button and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Kyle, did you know that almost 40% of the people that watch our videos don't subscribe? Did you know that?
I mean, listen, I don't see any other fantasy channels dressing up as a sloth and falling off chairs. So,
I mean, I laughed hysterically, and there's clips on Twitter with it. But I mean, that's exactly what you can come to expect here on this channel. So that's what you're looking for. Hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate the support. As always, we're going to get out here for the day. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day, a great week, and we'll talk to you later.